Hi, and welcome back to Scratch. Today we're going to make this beautiful brisket. So for this, we're going to need a 4 to 6 pound brisket, a tablespoon each of salt, pepper, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, onion powder, brown sugar, and 2 teaspoons of ground mustard. Now, I don't have a smoker, so we're going to cheat and we're going to use liquid smoke and roast this in the oven. We're just going to take a tablespoon each of brown sugar, garlic powder, black pepper, onion powder, salt, chili powder, and paprika. We'll add 2 teaspoons of ground mustard because it's a little bit stronger than the rest. Then we'll mix those up for our rub. This may seem like a lot, but it's just enough to get a nice crust on the outside of the brisket. One of the first things you'll notice is that one side of the brisket has this layer of fat on it. We're going to trim this down, but not completely, but at least down to 1/4 of an inch. It's a little bit more work, but it's worth it in the end. It keeps your brisket from being too fatty, while the bit you leave renders down to add tremendous flavor. Once we've trimmed off some of the excess fat, we're going to add a few drops of our liquid smoke on the brisket and rub it in. I'm using Mesquite. Then we'll flip it over and do the same thing on the lean side. Once we've rubbed in the liquid smoke, we'll add our barbecue rub. Put half on one side, trying to cover all of the brisket. Then flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. This is a little messy, but it's well worth it for the added flavor. Once we've covered the brisket with the spice rub, we'll wrap it in plastic wrap. Once wrapped, we'll put the brisket in the fridge to sit in the rub overnight. We'll pick this back up tomorrow morning when we roast the brisket. We let our brisket sit in the fridge overnight. So now we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we'll spray a roasting pan so the brisket doesn't stick. And set our brisket in. Our oven has preheated to 350 degrees. So we're going to put our brisket in at this temperature for 1 hour. Alright, it's been an hour, so we're going to reduce the oven temperature to 250 degrees. We'll temporarily take out the brisket. And I forgot to mention this in the ingredients yesterday, but at this point, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, a cup of water, and then we'll tightly cover the brisket in foil. After which, we'll return it to the oven for an additional 2 hours. It's been 2 hours, so we're going to remove the brisket from the oven and allow it to rest covered for 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes, so we're going to uncover our brisket. And this looks gorgeous. And then we're going to move it over to the cutting board for carving. One thing you should notice is that I'm using a serrated knife to carve the brisket and using a sawing motion. You really want to cut brisket against the grain. And then we'll move this over to a plate and we'll serve it with our homemade steak sauce. And remember, if you like the content, please subscribe.